Davis Motomiya is the leader of the second generation of Digidestined, introduced in the pilot of Digimon Adventure 02. Towards the end of that episode, former leader Tai Kamiya passes down his goggles to Davis in a physical representation of the change in power. Discourse around Davis can be pretty mixed. While some see only his obnoxious, insecure, simping nature, others recognize his true strength and embodiment of the traits of his Digi-Eggs. Davis is flawed and not always likable, but he has a very consistent presence and force, one on which the team heavily relies. Davis is consistently energized and optimistic. These traits can easily be taken for granted, but they are highly beneficial for a leader to possess. He carries on an undying flame. He's got that fighting spirit, and he will ruthlessly keep going, which drives forward his team and the overall plot. The optimism in turn keeps the vibes high and the self-belief strong, in essence manifesting victory and positive outcomes. Sure, we could complain about times when he comes across as annoying or immature, but those are just part of what makes him a more well-rounded character. He has those baseline moments, which end up making his moments of depth that much more meaningful. Davis is kind of silly, he's kind of a dork. He may be the butt of the joke quite often, but I feel he has more intelligence than he is given credit for. Despite what some may think, Davis is self-aware. He is aware that others perceive flaws or shortcomings in him. This is demonstrated in a few ways. He often seems to feel frustration at himself when he struggles to be flawless. This shows up in communication often, as Davis seems to struggle with articulation and may generally be viewed as a bit slow. There is a scene I recall where Matt reveals that he met Davis's older sister, and he reacts quite strongly. He attacks himself in order to stave off any criticism from others. Self-deprecation is a common defense mechanism. Ask me how I know. This actually had an even worse effect, as in his lashing out at himself and his sister, Matt and Kari end up losing respect for him and are disgusted by his immature and disrespectful nature. This defense mechanism does also work to his advantage at times. His universally agreed upon Davisness is often a through line for humor. All the kids in Digimon alike can shake their heads in affectionate exasperation, sharing a "that's our Davis" moment. Also, as much of a loser in love and academics Davis may come across as, he does still have talent and impressive skills in other areas. For instance, he is incredibly skilled at soccer. This is something he takes pride in and that the others also acknowledge, giving him some grace and respect. We can see in episode 8, Ken's Secret, that his friends all show up to his soccer game to support him. He is then schooled by Ken, though that is largely due to the dark spore powers Ken possessed. Of course, Davis is also quite powerful in the digital world, and his Digimon has the most Digivolutions of the group. I think his family life, while warm, may lack the genuine emotional validation he so badly craves as a child, thus providing more evidence as to why he may act out with others. His relationship with his sister June is one of sibling rivalry and teasing. We are never shown anything near the warmth and care shown in other Digidestined siblings, such as Tai and Kari or Matt and TK, and we don't even see the realness and support we see with Joe and Jim. The real Jim from Adventure, not the oldest brother that they retcon in 02. His parents are present, which is more than can be said for many families, but they are far from validating. For instance, in episode 35, Cody Takes a Stand, when Davis invites Ken to sleep over at his house, his parents fawn over Ken, asking them to help Davis with his schoolwork, and Davis's father even mentions spending a fortune on tutors. On one hand, this can show his desire to help his son and support his education, but on the other hand, it can show that he does not accept any potential limitations Davis may have academically or intellectually, and having constant tutoring can lead Davis to internalize feelings of not being good enough. To be clear, I'm not saying it's wrong for his parents to want their kid to excel and thus employ tutors to help. I am just hypothesizing how this could affect Davis's psyche. The parents are excited for a celebrity to be in their house, and Davis's response to this is, "A celebrity? What do they think I am?" Thus proving that Davis does feel unrecognized and underappreciated by them. Other moments with the Motomiyas show them to be jovial, and I don't think we get enough information for me to totally throw them under the bus, but more evidence to their shortcomings comes in the form of how emotionally unregulated June sometimes is, and her desperate desire to fit in and win affection from Matt. Both siblings have the inclination to look outwards for validation. Plus, we are just so blessed with so many other great parental figures in this show. Izzy's parents, Matt's dad, the crazy growth of the Ichijojis, that the Motomiyas just fall flat in comparison. Davis holds the Digi-Eggs of courage and friendship. Davis is shown to be consistently courageous throughout the Zero Two series, always quick to join in a fight and help protect his friends. The moment that most exemplifies this trait is seen in the last few episodes of the series, Oikawa's shame and the last temptation of the Digidestined in specific. In the fight against Malomyotismon, Davis is the only one not affected by the fear and false illusions of the risen Dark King. It was this moment that really solidified Davis as being top tier for me. He's the only one who held on, he's the only one to believe in his team, he's the one who kept everyone else together and awoke their fighting spirits. Davis refuses to give up, if there's even a slight chance of winning, and he and ex-Vmon refusing to back down inspires the others to join in and free themselves from the fear. Davis possessing the Digi-Egg of friendship is something that he has to grow into. At the start of the series, Davis seems lonely, with few to no real friends, and perhaps has a tendency to act out or lay it on thick in order to get attention. We first see his friendship with Demi Vmon form and grow. From the second episode, we see Davis thinking of Vmon. Davis is touched by the sincere and unconditional nature of Demi Vmon's affection for him. In a scene in episode 11, The Storm of Friendship, we see this dynamic particularly highlighted, and Davis has to learn that to be a true friend, he has to be willing to give what he gets and reciprocate. He has to put himself on the line in order to save his friend. Here we see the Digi-Egg of friendship activated, allowing Vmon to armor Digivolve into Raidramon. We can also witness this growth in Davis's relationships with the older boys, particularly those sharing his traits, Ty and Matt. Davis and Ty's relationship is established right away as a mentor-mentee sort of vibe. Ty teaches Davis soccer and furthermore provides a good role model, we could argue again perhaps because Davis's father does not give enough interest and attention to his son. Davis and Matt are a bit more contentious at the beginning, Matt seeing only the flaws in Davis, believing him to be disrespectful and rude. This evolves to a scene in the computer lab in the episode The Storm of Friendship, where Matt and Ty declare Davis their friend and welcome him entirely as a part of the team. Arguably, Davis's most important relationship is that with Ken. Davis is instrumental in Ken's rehabilitation and path to forgiveness. As Ken comes back to himself and reckons with the wreckage of his Digimon Emperor tirade, Davis makes concerted efforts to bring Ken into the team. He emphasizes to Ken in the immediate aftermath that he does have people who care about him, and he offers to help. Davis is rather mature and selfless in his handling of Ken, in my opinion. Davis reaching out and emotionally connecting with Ken is what allows for ex-Vmon and Stingmon to DNA Digivolve into Paildramon. While it's obvious that Davis is essentially Ken's first true friend, it appears that Ken fulfills that role for Davis as well. There is a scene in episode 39, Draymond Power, when Tokyo is under siege, that Davis butts heads with Ty and goes off on his own in order to unite with Ken, who is alone in another area of the city. This connection leads to Paildramon's first Digivolution into Imperial Dramon. Another great example of Davis's flair for friendship is in the Digimon movie, when he befriends Willis and they share a genuine connection. Davis teaches Willis what it's like to have a friend, what it's like to be part of a team, as Willis had been all alone his entire life. That power of building bridges to connect to others is something Davis seems to have innately, and he is quite skilled at it. We can see a version of this in the finale of Adventure 02, when Davis, with TK, must speak to the Darkspore children in order to get them to be hopeful and feel worthy. Another moment where Davis is the linchpin. Davis, of course, developed relationships with all of the other Digidestined, new and old, but I wanted to focus on those most important. Even Kari, I am neglecting to talk much about because, funnily enough, I don't believe she ranks as one of the most important relationships with Davis. Yes, of course, his motivation to protect and impress Kari is a foundation of the series, and yes, this affects how Davis shows up in his relationship with TK, as he is threatened by the bond between TK and Kari, but ultimately, I don't feel that things go that deep with Davis and Kari. I do believe they have a genuine friendship, and I do think Kari tends to find Davis amusing, if not exasperating. I believe they care about each other, but neither of them offers a substantial reason to drive character growth. Not in the way, say, Ken does for Davis, and TK or even Yoli do for Kari. Davis and Yoli have a very equal, peer-like friendship, in my opinion. They are both just straight shooters with each other, and that can be enjoyable to see. With Cody, Davis is a bit dismissive and maybe even invalidating at first, but he comes to really care for and respect/admire Cody and his unique traits. Davis has some interactions with the likes of Sora and Joe, and even more with Izzy and Mimi, all offering their own flair to the overall dynamics. They are all on the same team, and while they are not all directly close to each other, they know how to work synergistically and contribute and work off the energy each person has to offer. We must also recognize that Davis is worthy of the Golden Digi-Egg. In both Adventure 02, when Veemon Golden Armor digivolved into Magnamon to defeat Chimeramon, which he is successful in doing with the help of Wormmon, and in the Digimon movie, when he takes on the Digivolve form of Kokomon with the help of Rabbitmon. In the epilogue of the 02 series, we see that Davis was successful in accomplishing his dream of opening a noodle cart. I really like to see this because when he mentions this aspiration in the finale, it comes so out of left field it's almost easy to quickly dismiss it as unserious. But when he actually does it, we see that he has kept that dream close to his chest and has been serious about it. And he proves to everyone that he is enough, that he can do things and be successful. In a way, this is him getting over his insecurities and allowing himself to be successful as himself, without posturing or feeling he has to be a certain person in order for others to accept him. We also see, in that infamous epilogue, that Davis has a son. He seems to genuinely love him from the brief scene we see of them together, so we know that Davis receives happy endings in at least a few areas of life. I would expect no less with his demonstrated drive for success. I started writing this and had no idea I'd have this much to say about Davis of all characters, but I do find his character compelling in an unexpected way. I think it's easy to overlook him or take his presence for granted, but he deserves to be celebrated and accepted in his own right, as we all do. I'd like to thank you for watching this video and would be curious to hear any thoughts you have on this character or any others. Consider liking and subscribing. I have made and will continue to make other Digimon related content as well as other nostalgic media based videos. Thanks again, and I hope you have a wonderful day.